This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard, live downtown Vegas. Circa Resort Casino is your spot. This is going to be a hell of a 3-hour program lined up today. A lot of playoff reaction and look ahead to upcoming games that we have tonight and beyond. A busy day card in Major League Baseball tonight as well. Lots on the NFL draft. We have Jeff Seeley on the Zurich Classic coming up in about 30 minutes. He had a winner last week with Matt Fitzpatrick. Also on the program, Evan Silva from Establish the Run, Sean Green, Sports Gambling Podcast, Doug Kazarian, Matt Humans, all on the NFL draft. And what a night last night was yet again. All of those dogs were barking. Imagine had the Kings defeated the Avalanche in overtime. Big numbers for bettors who are actually going contrarian last night and taking those dogs. And then, of course, you have the Wemby fall and the spill on his face, which looked absolutely awful. And now I can't imagine that he's going to be playing in Game 3 on the road against Portland. And the number kind of tells you that as well. I mean, they're closing around 12.5, 13-point favorites in these games, and they're sitting there as, the adjustment is 1.5 now.
Yep.
He's not going to play.
Frustrating night. Not supposed to happen. $100 parlay in the NBA paid $13,000. Celtics always mess around and play with their food.
Yep.
14-point favorite, can't win the game. That can happen, though, when you take 53s. When it's not your night, and the other team's knocking them down, right? But what happened to the Spurs is inexcusable. I mean, it's like the Knicks loss. You're up 14 with 8 minutes. I don't care who's out. 14 with 8 minutes, and Denny only had 14 in the game.
That's right.
You can't slow down Henderson. So we got a series. And as we talked about when they opened it up, that they couldn't be minus 2,000 series price because of the Wemby. That he's fragile, which it was unfortunate what happened in a fluke.
Oh, that absolutely sucks, man.
But now, I don't know if he doesn't look like he plays Friday. The offense was lost without him. You're talking about the defensive player of the year being out. So a lot of pressure on them now as well. But to just at home up 14 with 8 minutes, come on. You have first-round draft picks all over the place. Someone's got to score. And it's not like they did much offensively to beat you anyways. And
They could have been a little shell-shocked, watching that happen to him and also without him for that entire time.
Yeah, but they were fine, though, after that. Initially, I'll give it to you, no doubt. But they took care of business, and they opened up the lead. Then they fell apart in the last 7 minutes. And I echo your sentiments, what you tweeted last night. Someone needs to call in a Greyhawk 10 on Udoka.
Oh, he's going to get fired.
I mean, this is
There's
ridiculous.
no question in my mind.
You're not going to play Shepard. You have problems scoring. You can't draw anything up. What is your strategy? Do you have a strategy? Durant goes off, vicious beat if he had his points over. But Durant goes off in the first half, no help. I don't know what you're trying. You are destroying them on the boards in the offensive glass, and you are now down 2-0. And I can't wait to lay a 9.5 in Game 3. As we said yesterday, they're being out-coached. This guy has all kinds of issues offensively. The alarming stat, 24% of their shots occur with the last 6 seconds left on the shot clock. It's a unmitigated disaster with Houston.
I'm extremely confident in saying this, that if they lose the series to the Lakers, he is absolutely fired. If not, that's a complete and utter debacle by Houston, and it's malpractice, actually, and I hate to use that word because it's overused nowadays, but they have to get rid of the guy. They're lost completely, and, I mean, as I tweeted out again last night, to your point, I'm like, I can say this with as much confidence as humanly possible. Reed Shepard will be a better NBA player than Udoka is as a head coach. He played 10 minutes, and he was asked about it after the game. Did you ever think of, nope, shut it down immediately. Nope, not playing him.
Yeah.
Didn't have to. Defense was fine. The players that they had on the court when KD was getting double-teamed the entire time are incapable of spreading the floor or being like a nuisance from three because Reed Shepard is your best shooter. And they had other guys out there who were just big and long and not great shooters, and that helped the Lakers play defense as a part of that. In fact, here's the stat. JBT passed this on to me. This is from Carson Breber on X. Kevin Durant has been doubled or blitzed 61 times over the Rockets' last 3 games against the Lakers. Excluding offensive rebounds, they've scored 42 points. That is 0.69 points per possession with 16 turnovers. KD has 20 turnovers overall in those 3 games. Unacceptable. And where are the adjustments? And you don't have the proper guys in the game. And now you're on the verge of getting embarrassed by losing to this team without Luka and Austin Reeves. Kevin Durant has now lost 7 consecutive playoff games.
How has that happened?
His last win was May 7th, 2023.
Yeah. So what the interesting thing is now is what are the adjusted series prices? What's the correct number? Because one, how long is Wemby out? And maybe the inexperience gets to San Antonio. The take back on Portland's 4-1.
Uh-huh.
And the other, what do you do with the Lakers series? They're up 2-0, but looks like Reeves can come back. And Game 7 would be next Sunday.
Yeah.
This is really stretched out. So I don't think we'll see Luka, but I think we can see Reeves at some point if this thing goes the distance. But that's why it's interesting that the Lakers are only a short favorite, even though they're up 2-0 in the series, and there have been no adjustments, and Houston is lost offensively as usual.
Yeah, LeBron was really good again last night, as was Luke Kennard.
Yeah.
And I got to
Smart
tell you,
was
again,
great, too.
I'm guessing Kennard's going to have like games like this pretty much the entire. Houston's supposed to be a great defensive team, too.
Well, LeBron, his history up 2-0 in a series, and I love what they did up 5, where he did the slowdown with the hands and then speed me up and then dunk city and to go up 7. That was beautiful. And as you said, it's a legacy. Just add to the legacy if they're able to do this as a huge dog, 6-1 take back, and if they're able to win the series without their 2 best players, he's been awesome.
Let me point this out. FanDuel specifically offered a prop last night on LeBron James, and I think it's his career averages of 27, 7, and 7. They offered, and it was the only thing available that it was a specific LeBron prop, and it said, will LeBron James finish tonight's game with exactly 27.7 rebounds and 7 assists? It was 200-1. He had 28, 8, and 7. Mm-hmm. Right on those numbers.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep.
Here, this is officially like the fine print with Victor Wembanyama. He now has to go a full 48 hours before being cleared for full participation, along with approval from team and league doctors. And that obviously puts his status in very serious doubt for Friday night's Game 3 up in Portland. And as we said, I think the market, obviously, when they opened up, they're kind of telling you, probably not going to give it a go here. I don't know. I mean, without him, they were laying 4.5 in the second half last night. The Spurs were. And you had the news, by the way. The news was out there that Wemby was not coming back to play in that game, and they were laying 4.5. They lost outright. I got a big ticket on the Spurs at 18-1 to win the West.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I hate the ticket today.
I know, yeah. I mean, you can't be that scared of Denver either. Just how they look like they're wore down already, and how bad they've been defensively.
So that could be Minnesota, by the way.
That could be. This is really becoming March Madness here so far. I mean, this stuff is not supposed to happen in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Hockey, we're used to it, but that is 5 straight underdogs that have won now in the NBA playoffs. It's crazy.
Well, you asked me yesterday on the air, could I make a case for the Sixers? I said I really can't. And they were the better team pretty much the entire game. The one game, and I didn't bet it, but the one game that I agreed with you on, because you had a bet on Portland, is I thought that number was a bit high. And I thought we were going to get a good effort out of that team last night and cover. Didn't see him winning the game, but then Wemby goes down, that changes everything.
Yep. I would think you'd get a strong effort from Phoenix tonight after getting embarrassed. But then again, maybe that's the other thing. How do you not take futures on the Thunder? I mean, this is – do you see what's going – Spurs have their issues. Denver can't defend. Boston screwing around again. And here, okay, well, OKC's going to get the winner of L.A., Houston, and they just destroyed the Lakers when they were healthy in the last meeting. I mean, you can put them in the conference finals.
Yeah,
they're even money to win the title.
The number on the game is 17.5.
Yeah, right. As I said yesterday, that's a tanking number.
That's exactly right.
Right.
The Suns had a good year.
That's right.
And it's 17.5.
This is not the Utah Jazz.
I know.
God. Yeah, I think you'd be able to hang here and keep it respectable, certainly after what happened as well. Yeah. How about the hockey, too? Buffalo's in a world of hurt. Boston has outplayed them for much of the series.
That's true.
Buffalo's in trouble, and Stormy did a great job last night. This is, they're going to put up, there's a 5.5, but you can go under 6.5 minus 170 and under 6 minus 140. The Kings with this boring hockey, mucking it up. How are you going to get goals in that series?
Well, and by the way,
both games are 2-1, and that's how the Kings play. And then the delay, Stormy was all over it. They got vacuum cleaners. They're coming in with security and all this. But this is, what the Kings are doing is a travesty. How they have to just muck it up and they're just trying to get overtime somehow, some way.
Does that is there going to be a league-wide mandate now where fans are going to be unable to actually pound on the glass?
Oh, that's stupid. What are you doing?
Well,
They
that
knew
happens.
that thing was going to give.
Yeah, but that happens in every game where people just absolutely pound the daylights out of the glass and it never breaks. And that one happened to just shatter last night.
No, but I think there were so many people doing it.
Yeah.
After they stopped, after he stopped the penalty shot, that thing just into thousands of pieces.
Well,
In
how
a
about
17-minute delay and all over the Kings coach?
How about actually getting a pretty decent number on the Kings plus a goal and a half so far? This has been anything but a rout in this series.
Yeah.
They've been right there with him. And I guess this is kind of like the UConn-Michigan game. Dan Hurley asked at halftime or during the game, he's like, look, we got to make it ugly. Only way we have a chance to win. That's pretty much the only way the Kings have a chance to be in these games against Colorado, and they're doing a great job so far.
Yep. Officiating's they're too much of the story right now as well. They're calling way too many penalties in these playoffs. They got to calm down, especially in that Kings game. Every time you look, someone was on the power play.
Yeah.
And it's 1-1 at the end of regulation.
I will remind you of this. In the other game tonight in the NBA, the Pistons lost game one to the Magic. So the zigzag worked big time last night in two of the games anyway. But if you lose as home, as the favorite in game one of the first round, since 2021, game two, those teams are 7-0 straight up and 7-0 ATS. Since 2017, those teams are 13-1 straight up, 13-1 ATS. Unbelievable numbers there. Scott Seinberg, VSiN hosts his website. It's betterday.com. That's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
So do we get the zigzag here that applies in this game?
No, I don't want the Pistons.
And they run them out?
Nope. History's strong, but I don't trust them. And Orlando with nothing to lose now.
NFL draft's up next. You can't help but laugh when NFL insiders are essentially saying the same exact thing about two different players for the same pick. I'll give you the details coming up next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, let's get some more bets in the portfolio for the draft tomorrow night. Sean Green does a great job on the Sports Gambling Podcast, and the Friday edition is live here on VSiN every single week at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. You can follow him on X at Sean T. Green. Thanks for the time, my man. How are you today?
Doing great. Yeah, 24 hours till the draft kicks off, and my head's spinning hearing all these latest reports and who do you believe, what can you believe? So crunch time, and I'm loving it.
So the one I'm going to kind of get all of the other podcasts that I've listened to over the last 3 or 4 days from NFL insiders jumbled up. But I think it was on the McShay pod the other night. He said that Andy Reid might be hell-bent on winning the team over at taking offensive linemen with their first pick overall. Have you bet it that way?
Yes. Yeah, I got Chiefs first position drafted at plus 250. This is a history of knowing Andy Reid, being an Eagles fan, loves a good O lineman, and then two, let's keep things simple here. You're gonna trot out Patrick Mahomes coming off a blown out ACL. I mean, the only reason the Chiefs had an offense last year was because of Mahomes' mobility, running around. I mean, he was like the leading rusher for half the season. You can't rely on that going into the season this year. You need a better offensive line. So I know there's some fun long shots. I know they're in the receiver market. Maybe Sadiq. I certainly think that's a possibility. Now we're hearing trade news that maybe they go after Kyle Pitts. I just know they need a better offensive line. Your franchise is Patrick Mahomes. Get an offensive lineman. So the fact that you can get plus 250 on Chiefs to draft an O-line first, I'm all over that.
This is excellent. It's like we're in the Eagles locker room, too. How about the Eagles? So your tag team partner gave this out. You also think they go wide receiver right off the bat?
Yeah, well, certainly at the price. I mean, the favorite is offensive line, which makes sense. Again, you look at Howie Roseman. There's type of positions he drafts in the first round. A lot of times it's receiver, and a lot of times it's O-line. The case for receiver is pretty obvious. Adam Schefter seemingly broke the news. A.J. Brown, God knows what he had to do to get that story, but A.J. Brown probably going to be on the Patriots now. But I don't think the Eagles feel like they have their true number 2 of the future on their roster, and them spending a first round pick for a guy to fill in for AJ Brown with Devontae Smith becoming the number 1 makes a ton of sense. The Eagles value the passing game. They're not afraid to use draft capital on the receiver position. It makes them eating all that dead cap for AJ Brown a little easier to swallow. If you got a guy you can trot out day 1 as a starter on a rookie contract. So it checks a ton of boxes. I know they'd love to get a Lane Johnson replacement, but if we get that run of offensive linemen from 10 to 17, like people are predicting, I think receiver might be the best option for him. So you can get that close to 3-1. And I'm definitely on Eagles draft a receiver first 3-1.
Yeah, I was going to run this by you, by the way, because BetMGM, they are offering, I thought they were going to offer the entire first round, like who's going to go at number 28, 29, 30. They actually stopped at pick number 22. But it'd be fascinating if they actually offered who's going to be the 23rd overall pick in the draft, where they pick, and then you could just take maybe a couple of receivers there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, taking a couple of dart throws, assuming they don't move up. That's the other thing. There's been a decent amount of news. Early on, they were linked to Jordan Tyson. Now it seems like what you would have to do to get him probably too high, but certainly Howie is not afraid to wheel and deal, and they have a ton of draft capital. So if there is a receiver they do like, they're not going to be afraid to move up to get him.
This is worth a flyer. This is still available at DraftKings. Francis Mauigoa to go third at 11-1.
100%. I'm on it. And to me, the case is pretty simple. All this Jeremiah Love. Hey, we're the Arizona Cardinals. All of a sudden, we're going to have the highest paid running back room in the league. I mean, they spent a decent amount of money on the running back position. I get it. You want some fans. You want to sell some jerseys. Jeremiah Love. I just don't believe it. I would be very surprised if they stick here at 3 and take Jeremiah Love. Now, certainly maybe someone trades up, and that's what they're hoping for. I think all this, what the Cardinals are going to do is they're trying to get someone to trade up to take that number 3 pick overall off their hands because they want Francis Mauigoa. And now maybe they aren't able to get that trade. I know a lot of people are predicting a bunch of trades. I'm a little skeptical because we keep hearing the 2027 draft, those picks are going to be so valuable, so many quarterbacks, teams might be hesitant. So I think the Cardinals are putting it out there. They're putting it on Front Street. Hey, come and get it. You want number 3, come and get it. But if they don't get a decent offer and they're really stuck with it, the right tackle makes so much sense for them. I will take a little slice here, a little pizza bet on Mauigoa at 11-1 to go number 3 overall, because that's the guy they need for that offense.
I would totally agree. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Sean Green's our guest, Sports Gambling Podcast. They pump out new episodes all the time. The Friday one is every single week at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific, right here on VSiN, and he's on the Progressive Guest Line. Talk us through this one, and you have my attention at Colts first position drafted quarterback at 25-1.
Well, you know, it wouldn't be a Sports Gambling Podcast appearance without a couple dart throws, a couple long shots here. And I like taking long shots, especially with this first position drafted, with teams drafting their first pick being in the second round, because one, God knows what's going to happen between now and the end of the second round. The Colts are picking 53rd overall, so a lot can happen between now and then. They're missing a ton of draft capital because of the Sauce Gardner trade. So there's a world where they even move down from from the second round and pick in the third. They brought in both Nussmeier and Cole Payton, who are considered like maybe the second and third the quarterback options after Ty Simpson and obviously Mendoza. So I don't think they're sold on Danny Dimes. You look at that contract, they can move on from him after 1 year. The Colts finding their quarterback of the future, Anthony, they're moving on from AR-15. I think they need a quarterback of the future. And if they can get him late second, early third round, maybe even Beck is a dart throw there. At 25-1, considering they brought in, why are they using top 30 visits on 2 separate quarterbacks if they're not at least considering the position? So I think a lot can happen between now and when they're drafted. And so for me, that's a reason to take a couple long shots.
This is definitely a common bet between us. The Broncos are not picking until deep into the second round. And I would say that they need some help at running back. That's available right now at plus 750. Why do you like it?
Well, let's look at the coach history. Sean Payton loves a good running back. He's a guy who drafted Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram. He's not afraid. Now they don't have a first round pick. They're not picking first until 62, like you said there. So them using their first pick on a running back again makes a ton of sense. I don't know how much he loves Bo Nix. There was those weird comments about Bo Nix and his ankle, and he wouldn't have drafted him, busting his chops publicly. I think he knows he needs to support Bo Nix with a great run game. And if we think this is a weak running back class, which everyone says, you go back to 2019, that draft, the second running back wasn't drafted until 53, my boy Miles Sanders. So could you get the second running back in the draft, maybe even the third, a guy you like here at 62? I think there's a great chance. So running back at plus 750 for the Denver Broncos checks a ton of boxes.
Yeah, totally agree. I bet that one. I think it was late last week when I was reading some reports that they were actually, the Broncos are pretty high on some of those guys that are going to be available in theory at that point. One more here. You like the Niners first overall to be what position?
I'm going receiver. I understand offensive line is definitely up there. It's one of the favorites, but they just worked out that deal with Trent Williams. Maybe they're not as desperate to get an offensive lineman, and maybe they're in a decent spot to get a receiver. I know they signed, they brought in Christian Kirk and Mike Evans, but on the other side, they're also losing Brandon Ayuk. And I just don't know if they're totally locked at receiver. And Shanahan, again, is a guy who loves the passing game. What are you going to get with George Kittle this year? Ricky Pearsall, huge question mark, could not stay out on the field. And they use high draft capital on him. So I'm looking at a team that has a history of using high draft picks on the receiver position. And you're getting, 4-1. I'll happily take a piece there on the 49ers.
Very good. As Paulie said, looks like we're in the Eagles locker room right now behind you. So you love the team. You live and breathe with Philadelphia. You've said something recently a couple of times, I think, on the podcast, and we have like a minute left here, but you said don't rule out Howie Roseman maybe putting together a deal that would land Myles Garrett.
100%. I bold prediction. Now this might happen a little later in the year because it's contingent, I think, on the A.J. Brown trade going through. But if you're the Cleveland Browns, what's the only possible way you can sell to the fan base trading away Myles Garrett? How can you sell that to the fan base? Well, you're going to get the quarterback of the future in the 2027 NFL draft. You're going to get one of these big studs that's going to be coming out, and you're going to save Cleveland football. How do you do that? You load up with picks in the first round. I'm a Jalen Hurts guy. I don't think they're going to be needing to draft a quarterback anytime soon. And if you take the Eagles, they'll obviously have their first round pick. I'm projecting that they probably could be getting the Patriots first round pick in 2027. And then right there, you're starting to put together a package that you could bring in Myles Garrett. So I know the Eagles have had their eyes on him for a long time here. They've tried to trade for him previously. And if they get a nice haul from the A.J. Brown trade, you saw what Jalen Waddle went for. I think A.J. Brown, you're going to get more as far as draft capital. If they have all these picks, they got to use them on something.
Yeah, that'd be a bombshell. Sean, that was awesome. Thank you. Good luck with the draft tomorrow night.
You too, guys.
Thank you.
I think this team is going to lay the wood to their opponent tonight in baseball. I'll explain next.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. We're live as always, downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Busy hour coming up. Matt Youmans on the program. We'll talk about what happened yesterday, the news to the Westgate selling to Caesars, and his final look at draft bets for tomorrow night's event. And right now, Doug Kazarian joins the program. He's in studio. The website is DougKazarian.com. He's also part of the Because We Win podcast. How are you, pal? Good to see you today.
Good to be with you guys. It's nice to get out of the house every couple days. Doesn't happen every day. That's important.
Here's what we're going to do. In 15 minutes, We'll remind people that you won $300,000 on the draft like 5 years ago now, and we'll get into what you like for tomorrow night. You're also a big spot bettor when it comes to the NBA. How does that change when the playoffs get here?
Yeah, it's different kind of spots. To your point, zigzag theory. I heard you guys last hour or so discuss it. I was not on the Rockets last night. I just felt that they're dysfunctional and they're a road favorite to begin the series. I just didn't buy it. Like, I thought they should have been underdogs in game one.
Agreed.
Given what we saw with the Lakers the last week of the regular season, and really this Houston team is just deeply flawed. They're all afraid to make a mistake. Udoka wants to fight everyone.
Yes.
It's just a toxic situation. Durant is not the guy we all want him to make him out to be. And the Lakers, whether you want to be corny and say LeBron, and they're all they've all been empowered, all the role players. And they have defined roles. You're not going to have Jared Vanderbilt going one-on-one on, maybe Marcus Smart shoots a little bit too much, but he's earned that right, and especially when he was shooting well the first couple games of the series. So they're going to play with more confidence. They're empowered. LeBron obviously gets guys involved. I think the spacing out of the series helped LeBron. And so I just think I don't want to just mess with this Rockets team. I just think the number is wrong. And there's a tax on them that's just unjustifiable. But I do like Detroit tonight a lot. Whatever the number is, just play it.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, you can't overthink it. Yeah. Could it land 9? Sure. Could they lose? I mean, yes, in the first game, the eye test, everything. But at some point, the zigzag theory, what was it, 2 years ago, where it was just outrageous? Like, it would hit like 15 in a row. The zigzag theory is not just who lost, that's who you back, although that would have been good, obviously, in game 2 the last couple days. It's really, if the home team or favorite, sometimes it's both, right, off an outright loss, you bet them, right? So that obviously applies. And it's always been game 2 if they lose game 1. Road team, the narrative is they got what they came for, at least a split. And also the Orlando Magic, there's a gas tank component to this. They had a big game on Friday for the play-in, then game 1. I think Jalen Duren's the key here. I didn't think he played with the ferocity that he normally does, the chip on his shoulder, the us against the world, the just kind of FU mode that he always brings. I think he's going to have a big game, and that'll open up, make the game easier for guys like Tobias Harris and whatnot.
This doesn't make any sense that Orlando was so bad the entire season and awful in the Philadelphia game in the play-in, and Banchero looked like he didn't want to be there, and then the reports we want Mosley out, and then they thumped Charlotte in a bad spot they never trailed against Detroit.
It's the classic case. Go back a couple years ago in the NFL. This is definitely a stretch, but just stay with me here.
Yeah.
Remember the Raiders played a Thursday night game at home to the Chargers, and they won by like 50.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. The Chargers, the next game, had the Easton Stick at quarterback, and we're hosting the Bills. And the Bills were like 15-point favorites. Yeah. And I think the Chargers won outright, right? It was a Saturday during Christmas.
Was that the Brandon Staley fired game?
Yes, one of those games. Yeah.
All right.
Basically, you don't get to this level without being a competitive player, right? These guys don't get to the NBA, NFL, and whatnot. So if a team gets absolutely smoked or embarrassed, they're going to bounce back. So, yes, I liked Charlotte in that game because of the regular season matchups and everything. But you had one team that got undressed, and the other team was off like a buzzer-beater emotional win. So that's what happened in that game.
Yeah. Wow.
The one caveat for the Magic is if it's finally coming together and everyone's healthy and guys like Franz Wagner, if Wagner's going to play like that, then maybe the Magic are much better than their seed and, finally putting it together. But I'm a little nervous with Detroit, Bet, because Bane didn't play all that great, right?
Yes.
Bane's going to bounce back and have a better game.
How about this
but
losing
Suggs,
streak?
All these guys, I know. I don't care about past years. I mean, the Knicks series was weird last year, so I don't worry about previous regimes unless it's like decades old or whatever. It's like a house of horrors in the stadium or arena. But I think that it just bounced back. I think it comes to desperation and all that stuff.
So then what about game 2 tonight? I mean, this number it's just funny. I don't know how you don't laugh. I mean, the Thunder are laying 17.
I don't get it. I think you have to play the dog. I think you play the dog first quarter. Remember, so I thought the Detroit-Orlando game would go like the OKC game did, right?
Yeah.
The Friday, you emptied the gas tank to get into the playoffs, and then they were down 35-20 after one. They kind of played them straight up. They should get pounded in the paint, but it's a big number. First quarter is like 4.5, 5. I think you play first quarter. With the first half lines, you got to be careful with teams that aren't that deep and the teams that are. So because the second quarter substitution pattern. Yeah. So the Thunder are really deep. That second unit is excellent. So you got to be careful there. That's why I prefer first quarter than first half, the Suns team. But Phoenix may have just been one of those regular season teams. The Phoenix flu factoring in a little bit, catching teams, and they were just a really well-coached, solid team. But if they're getting maximum effort from the defending champs in 1 seed, then maybe, they're not a covering machine like they were during the regular season.
Are you your level of concern with San Antonio and Denver?
Well, San Antonio because of the Wemby injury. Denver a little bit. They did look gassed, which is weird, but they always find a way. I like the role players. I mean, Cam Johnson is a little shaky and some of these other guys, but I don't trust Minnesota as far as I can throw them. They've been inconsistent and shaky all year. I think they are complete farce of an actual contender. Now, if they win a series or pull this up, fine. But you just can't be that inconsistent all year. It's a byproduct of lacking leadership and whatnot. I don't think you can actually win it all. I've been saying it about them and the T-Wolves. Sorry, them and the Rockets. Yeah. Those two teams, you just can't flip a switch and all of a sudden be great. They played well at times, and they obviously deserved the win. But it's not like they really played that great. Ant shot poorly. Gobert was pathetic offensively. And the Nuggets just missed a couple shots. They could easily be 2-0.
Here's what my lifelong Minnesota Timberwolves friend of mine said. The Wolves have been to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. The one year they went through Denver and got him in Game 7. And everybody says, including me, he says, the Wolves give the Nuggets a tough time. He said, why isn't it the other way around? Why don't we say the Nuggets give the Wolves a tough time? And I actually think he's got a point there.
Well, one's a defending, one has won a title in recent years
I get
and
that,
been the
but,
higher seed.
Yeah.
But you're right. The architect obviously built it to beat Denver because that was sort of the blueprint when he took over. I just don't think Minnesota is reliable. If they were, the regular season's an indicator of what's going to happen in the postseason. Now, I said this about UConn, and of course, UConn was inconsistent, then goes to the championship game. So, obviously, but they were down 19 as well to Duke, and they were just super inconsistent. You don't lose by as a 17.5-point dog to to Creighton at home, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but they lost both those games.
Minnesota's kind of like that team. So I just don't think you can win 4 out of 7. I think it's coming back to Denver 2-2. So whoever loses Game 3, I'm going to bet Game 4.
Okay.
Sounds good. Keldon Johnson just won 6th Man of the Year. Follow the money. Paulie
That was a
Mitch.
market.
Yeah. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Doug Kazarian, our guest, DougKazarian.com. Is there a bet to be made on the adjusted series price of the Lakers' small favorites, big dogs in the next 2? And then at some point, we think Reeves is coming back. And Game 7
He's expected to come back, not Luka.
Yeah, right. Game 7 is next Sunday.
Game 5 is a week from today.
Oh, my God.
What?
I'm not good at – so with all of this stuff, you have to just compartmentalize, right? So if you're betting live wagering, it's really about the next 3 minutes. Because why bet now? Then if you think the next 3 minutes this team's going to do well, then you take the live line. With the suggested series price, I would only look at the Lakers, and I think there's a chance they win Game 3. I kind of don't. As much as the market's inflated, I talked a second ago about guys being competitive. You don't get to this level. I don't know if we're ready for the MF and Kevin Durant, but I think he's going to have sort of one of those games where he got pushed around the entire game. I think the other guy's got to step up. If I'm Udoka, I play some of the scrubs that give me effort and that kind of stuff, and you maybe don't run the offense through Tari Eason in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
I mean, what was the bench? 3 of 25 from the field?
How did Shepard play 10 minutes?
I don't get it.
He's lost.
But they pick on, Kennard drives right at him, and they shoot a layup. There's no threat, no resistance whatsoever by Shepard out there defensively.
Oh, defensively, I know what you're going to get from the guy.
Giant liability.
He is.
But
also,
they're all afraid to shoot. They're all afraid of screwing up and getting yelled at.
Did you see this? Did you see this? 24% of their shots on the season come in the last 6 seconds of the shot clock.
No,
they don't run anything.
I agree. It's so elementary and embarrassing in this day and age. It reminded me of an offense in the 2000s when only 3 guys are really offensive threats. Nowadays, everyone's a stretch 5, stretch 4, can shoot threes. Yeah. You got to get a hand up. You got to go over every screen. This reminded me of a team where you can just leave dudes open. It's like Draymond sticks out like a sore thumb because you don't have to go out to him. They have 3 of those guys at times on offense next to Durant.
Do you have any interest in Raptors down 0-2 back at home?
Raptors hammer it. I'm surprised they're not favored.
So around the world, first quarter, first half game?
So typically, you get the tax. I would just play it because I think their bench is good enough that I think that second unit. Now, I do worry maybe the Cavs second unit shows up a little bit. And if Atkinson is smart, he's going to let those guys maybe go win it. Pop used to do that. Or the Suns used to do that. Dragic won a game when they were up 2-0 15 years ago, I remember.
Wow, yeah.
You kind of roll the dice and, found money. I think the Cavs don't have – they're gutless at times. I think the Raptors should win this game. I really do. I think that psycho coach, Darko's not going to allow them to go down 0-3. I love the guy.
What is your read on Game 3, Knicks-Hawks going back to Atlanta?
I mean, I think it's the Knicks. I think it's – you guys have been on this Josh Hart thing. I think I think lead the game in rebounding is a really good bet because they're going to respond. The team that lost is going to have the tenacity, all that stuff, and that's rebounding, right? Ball finds effort, ball finds energy, like Jay Billis always says. Yeah. I think Hart's going to be double again, plus $3, that kind of thing. In terms of the side, I don't know. I go back and forth in these situations because should it be 2-0? Because what happens is the Knicks now have to win essentially 5 out of 7 games because they had that game won.
Yep.
The flip side is they were the better team. Proved it both, so I go back and forth. I tread lightly there because Atlanta's due for like a really good game and a really good response, even though it's technically 1-1. Yeah,
no, you're right because they had to hit the Knicks both times late with a big run to make it interesting and then win the game too.
Yeah, that was found money that game too.
I totally agree. Yep.
Get Brunson some help.
How about
McCollum's torching him?
Yeah, and have Towns take 28 shots.
Yeah.
More with Doug Kazarian coming up next. He won $300,000 betting the draft 5 years ago. We'll get his read of the betting market for tomorrow night's event next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
A lot to get into here with VSiN host Matt Youmans. He joins the program on the Progressive Guest Line Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern, his usual spot. Matt, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it. What was your reaction yesterday to the news that the infamous sportsbook out here known as the Westgate, a place that you and I and Paulie, most of us have been to countless times over the years. We absolutely love it. They are selling to Caesars.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming for several months, so I was not that surprised. It was just a matter of who was going to take over the book. And when David Siegel, owner of the Westgate, died, you'd heard his family wanted to ship the book out and let somebody else run it. And, I had talked to Derek Stevens about that, and I think Derek had made a bid on it. And I was hoping that, Circa Sports would take it over. If somebody's going to take it over, I was hoping it was going to be Circa. And it's not the case. Obviously, Caesars William Hill gets it. I was prepared for it. It's not the end of the world. It sucks. Consolidation definitely sucks because you got fewer lines. And this continues to happen in Vegas. It's not the first time it's happened. So it's disappointing. But, you go back over 20 years, I'm going to say about 22 years when Jay Kornegay moved his staff from Imperial Palace to the Westgate. Ed Salmons, Jeff Sherman, Matt Metcalf, and all those guys moved over there. I think that's been the number one sports book in Vegas for the last 2 decades, until Circa Sports comes along and challenges it. And you can say Circa is definitely the number one book right now. But it's been my favorite sports book to hang out at. Things change, and we'll get over it. I'm just hoping, I'm pretty certain those guys are going to land on their feet. Like I would expect John Murray's going to stay at the Westgate. Mm-hmm. Needs someone to run the book, to handle customer relations, to run the super contest. Murray's perfect for that. Ed Salmons, Jeff Sherman, all their talented odds makers are going to find places to go. It could be Circa, it could be somewhere else. But I will say this. The product that William Hill Caesars is putting out is not that bad. And I was at the M Resort last night. Talk about another book that used to be great. And it's not the same anymore. But M Resort has the William Hill NFL Draft props up. And they had a pretty impressive menu. Mitch, I know you and Paul, you guys are betting the NFL Draft like I am. And there was a lot up at William Hill. And I managed to bet several props out there. So that's a decent product. It's just always disappointing when you see the great sports books like this sell out and you have one fewer line you could bet. That's been our favorite place to hang out, a bunch of guys that we respect. Yeah. But I think all those guys are going to be fine.
I echo your sentiments, and also it's insane what they have on the in-play. I mean, they got like League Two soccer in-play, what they have. They're doing a great job. You did a great job with your article. Walk us through some of your best bets and what you did as far as the NFL draft, and you can read it at vsin.com.
Well, I don't know if I did a great job on that or not. That'll be judged tomorrow night when the first round's over. If I'm wrong about everything, it's not going to be a great job, but we'll see. The thing about this draft, I think this is one of the most unpredictable drafts I've seen in a long time. I mean, we're talking about the last 20 years or so. I go back the worst draft I can remember, and you guys probably recall this, the 2013 draft when Eric Fisher went number 1 to the Chiefs. That draft was terrible. This draft is obviously doesn't have the high-end quarterback talent, but still pretty good draft. I just think the top 10 is so unpredictable. I didn't want to make too many bets. And obviously we couldn't make too many bets because the draft props are just not as abundant as they used to be. The market's dried up. You got a lot of bookmakers who don't want to put anything up on this. Fortunately, DraftKings, FanDuel, like we said, William Hill, some other books out there, Chuck Esposito out of Red Rock. So fortunately, we got enough to pick from. I just made my last prop bet about 15 minutes ago, right before I jumped on with you guys. I'm out at the Red Rock Sportsbook. I took the Ravens to select an offensive lineman with their first pick at plus 130. And I think of that number 14 spot, they're going to take the guard from Penn State. So that's, I think, my 16th bet on the draft, and it's going to be the last one I make. And I'll ask you guys, you know, there's a prop up at DraftKings right now. You can pick the exact order of the first 3 picks. Mendoza, Bailey, and Love. And that was 5-1 odds last night, plus 500. I almost bet that. And I didn't bet it because there's such a high probability that we're going to have trades in the top 10. The Cardinals and the Browns are looking to move down. Chiefs and the Cowboys looking to move up. I think the Cowboys will probably trade with the Browns in that number 6 spot. I don't know what I really don't know what the Cardinals are going to do at number 3, but I do have some intel because I know someone who's well connected to the Cardinals and said there's no way they're taking Arvell Reese. And that if Love is there at the 3rd spot, if they don't trade down, they're taking Love in the 3rd spot. So that 5-1 prop there on the exact order of Mendoza, Bailey, Love is actually somewhat attractive. I think you still bet that at DraftKings right now. But you guys are following the sources. This is insane.
I know.
One day the Jets are taking Arvell Reese. The next day they're taking David Bailey. And this comes from different credible sources all over the board. I mean, the information on this draft is all over the place. I think it's tough to predict, but I've nailed down some props I like. I'll reel them off here in a minute. But, I mean, how many bets do you guys have on this draft? I think it's tough to have more than 15.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, we talked about 17-1 with that exacta because a source with the Giants thinks Arizona could go Maui Noa there at number 3, and the Giants love them. So we thought maybe the exacta there, 17-1, isn't bad. But you're right about, you know, this team likes these guys, but if there's one trade, the whole thing goes to hell.
Yeah. I mean, that's the dominoes. One trade can make the dominoes fall a different way, and then you're screwed on a bunch of those bets. I was told that the Cardinals are not taking a lineman. That they're taking Love if they stick at number 3. Owner wants him. New coach Mike LaFleur wants him. And, you know, we can argue all day whether or not it makes sense to take a running back as talented as Jeremiah Love at number 3. We don't have time for that. But I think the Cardinals would probably just take the best player available at number 3 if they can't trade down.
What else do you like that's still available, Matt?
If you can find Caleb Downs to go to the Giants, bet it. I've been looking all over the place trying to find, you know, you've got some books up with, you can bet Jeremiah Love to be drafted by the Cardinals. I've got Ty Simpson at plus 130 to go to the Cardinals. I bet that about 3-4 weeks ago. But Caleb Downs is going to go to the Giants. And I probably don't feel more certain about anything than that. I don't know if he's going to go in the 5 spot or the 10 spot. Are the Giants going to take Love if he's there at 5? Would they take Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver? That's possible. But I've heard that from very good sources that the Giants love Caleb Downs, and they might take him 5. And that if they don't get him at 5, they're going to take him at 10.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. I did bet David Bailey to be the number 2 pick at minus 150. But I got to say that kind of canceled out a bet that I had on Arvell Reese before because I got tired of all the flip-flopping on who the Jets are going to take at number 2. And who knows? Who knows who they're going to take? I did bet Sonny Styles to go with the number 4 pick to the Titans at plus 450. And I think this makes a lot of sense because you're talking about a coach, Robert Saleh, who was in San Francisco, and he had Fred Warner as a sideline-to-sideline linebacker, great run stopper. And I think he probably envisions Sonny Styles as that type of player in the Tennessee defense. And so I like that bet. Caleb Downs to the Giants. I bet Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech, linebacker, to go in the 1st round at 4-1 odds. I bet that. I think that's actually a pretty good play. Rodriguez, if you watch college football a lot, I don't think there was a better defensive player in the nation last year than Rodriguez, and I think he could go in the 20s in late first round of 4-1 odds. It's worth a bet. Steelers position of first drafted player, offensive lineman. Same with the Chargers. I took the Bills position of first drafted player to be a linebacker at plus 750. Niners position of first drafted player, offensive lineman, even money. Seahawks first player, cornerback plus 150. And Tim Murray talked me into this one last night. He told me about this prop up at William Hill. Diego Pavia, the dwarf quarterback from Vanderbilt, is his draft position is 200.5. That's the middle of the sixth round.
Right.
And the price was high, but minus 200. I laid the price last night, and I know Tim did too. I can't see him getting drafted. I can't see that happening, so I think that's worth laying a price there.
What grade would you give the Houston Rockets offense?
F. It's one of the worst I've ever effing seen. I want to say this, that Ime Udoka gets a lot of credit from the media for being a good coach. He sucks. He really is. He can't coach offense worth a damn. Last night, I was laughing out loud at that circus crap that the Rockets were running on the offensive end of the floor. They don't even run plays.
Nope.
They don't run anything. How bad was KD last night? 1 for 4 from 3, 9 turnovers. It's a low IQ basketball team. I can't say one good thing about the Rockets. They'll probably win game 3 just because that's the way these series go, and they're the favorite, and they're down 0-2 going home. But if you watch this team, it's such a poorly coached, low IQ basketball team. It makes me wonder what people were thinking when the Rockets were minus 600 to win this series.
Yeah.
I know the Lakers are shorthanded, but still, the shorthanded Lakers team has handled the Rockets pretty easily last night.
I can't stand him. I think the team absolutely stinks, and I think he should get fired once they lose in the playoffs. I think he's done a terrible job here. Matt, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow before the draft, but good luck with everything, okay?
Thanks. You got it.
There you go. We'll run down our best bets, recap last night's action. Bad idea genes out of me to trust and think of positive outcomes for the Rockets last night.